a touchdown, and he set up Miami for the game-winning field goal. But yesterday, Fitzpatrick tested positive for COVID-19 and will miss their game Sunday. But before that, Brian Flores has already said that despite the benching, Tua was going to start Week 17. So, LeVar, do you think the Dolphins are sold on Tua as their quarterback long-term?
Of course they're sold on Tua as their quarterback. But here's the thing. The reason why we're having this conversation, Mike and Alex and Greg, is very clear, right? You have played Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Ryan Fitzpatrick has had success. He came in relief duty, had success. But you look at Tua, he's 6-2 as the starter for this team. I think this is more so a conversation about Flores creating that environment of competition. Yeah. I think this is pretty unique in itself because you look at quarterbacks and you say, once you make the switch, then you maintain the switch. And that's kind of how we've grown to learn and understand the position itself. But Flores did something very interesting. It's compete. I didn't need to play him early on. I had to play him early on. I took a chance. I put him in. But he's convinced this team that they got to compete first. So when they take him out, it's not because you don't believe in Tua. It's because you want to win.
Right.
So our environment right now is purely we want to win. I believe Tua is the long-term key for them, the long-term decision or long-term guy for them at that position. But I also look at it from the standpoint of he's got a lot to learn as a rookie. And then learning as a rookie, he's also being put in a position where, like our early conversation, and you get a first-round quarterback that doesn't necessarily buy into the fact that being a first-rounder means you still got to go out there and show and prove. Yeah. He's keeping Tua honest, and he's keeping Tua hungry, as Greg mentioned earlier. As long as he stays hungry and motivated, he'll turn into that veteran, savvy quarterback before long.
You know, I think, LeVar, you said it. I mean, 6-2 as a starter. And in this league, it's all about winning. And it hasn't been pretty for Tua. You know, you don't see deep passes down the yard. You don't see him breaking long runs. And it's in part to a lot of different things. He had an injury, you know, last year, significant injury that he had to come back from, and that's tough. The hip injuries are some of the worst injuries to bounce back from. He did it. In terms of, you know, no off-season strength and conditioning program, no off-season training, no OTAs. I said we're going to say this multiple times in the show, especially about young QBs. And, you know, a lot of those things can be overlooked. So when you have a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick for Brian Flores, and you can look to the sideline and say, I got me a relief pitcher right here that we can put in the game and salvage the game if need be, then I'm going to go to that guy, especially while Tua's a rookie. Now, come 2021, I'll say this again, it won't be none of that. Trial and error for Tua. You put him out there, you let him work. You let him go through the growing pains. You let him grow up. You let him lose the tough ones, and you let him win the big ones. So he'll get the praise, you know, when he does well. He'll get the scrutiny when he doesn't. And that's a part of growing up. But as of right now, you know, I don't mind what they're doing with Fitzpatrick. It is Brian Flores' plan. It's his plan ultimately. And he wanted to make the playoffs. He wanted to show the organization.
It's worked.
Look, we can get it done however we want to do it. And once he get that right guy with that defense, lights out. Good luck.
LeVar, you hit the nail on the head. Brian Flores is solely about winning, period. And whatever quarterback gives him the best opportunity to win, that's who he's going to go with. And I love that approach. I mean, you literally said it. Like a lot of what we've come to know has been quarterbacks. Just once they are inserted in that starting position,
you've got to be the guy. Right.
But that's not done with any other position on the football field. You have an opportunity to compete every single day. You at linebacker, me at wide receiver, like running backs, they compete for those carries, that opportunity to get on that field. And when you create that environment across the board, it has a guy ready to play. The one thing I will say, and I do believe Tua is their long-term answer. Right now, I don't think he's ready. I just don't. It's visible when you look at how he plays the game. He plays the game at a pace to where you can't sustain that type of success. What I mean by that is he doesn't throw the ball down the field. There are no chunk plays when it comes to watching Tua Tagovailoa play this game. And in order to put points on the board, when you strike hot, in order to be a successful offense, Vick, you got to be able to push the ball down the field to soften up that secondary. And that's something that he has not shown that he can do on a consistent basis. And you talk about trying to fight for your playoff life against a team in Buffalo that could potentially keep you out. Like, you have to push the ball down the field on these teams going into the playoffs, teams, if they do make the playoffs. And we see Tua, and this is the guy, and you don't have Ryan Fitzpatrick coming out the following week. Will you be willing to push the envelope? Will you be willing to throw the ball down the field and take chances? And we know he doesn't turn the ball over. That is a plus. But you have to take chances. You have to allow your mind to be free and not think about throwing an interception or incompletions down the field, and just understand in the grand scheme of things of how you want to run offenses and what you want defenses to do and prepare for, you have to show them that you are willing to push the ball down the field, and he just hasn't done that.
I mean, you think back to Tua's college career and what he was able to do. I mean, he was remarkable. You said, Greg, decision-making, accuracy, the ability to run the offense smoothly, step in as a young guy. I mean, he got the intangibles to go next level. You know, it's just about him getting the reps. And the more adequate reps that he get, the better he's going to be as a player. You just got to have some patience with him. And imagine Tua in a year or two with some weapons around him. You know, they got Devontae Parker and they got some other guys that's filling in. But when he get the right situation, yeah, I think he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the league, definitely top 10. And I'm not being biased because he's a lefty. I like the fact that he's a lefty. But, you know, everything is going to have to fall in line for him, and it's going to be up to Brian Flores and the personnel department to surround him with the right people, the right players, so they can get the most out of their young quarterback.
He's super coachable, and it's just going to have to come down to developing the trust, because like what Greg is talking about, I think the reason why he does what he does is because that's what he's told to do.
Yeah.
I can recall Bill Parcells standing on the yard line where he wanted his young